Hi everyone, congratulations on making it this far on the introduction to Agile. Now that we've been through a lot of these things, the core practices, the Lean and Agile frameworks, delivering in an Agile environment, it's time to start looking through a scenario. Let's go through a brief scenario on delivering in an Agile environment. And this is where we use all of our Agile tools to make or help our teams become more agile themselves, and you'll see what I mean as we go through this scenario. So let's imagine and let's have a look and let's make believe that we are working as an agile coach for the LIT company, of course a fictional company in this example, and their strategic leaders have come to us and they say they want the company to become more agile. How exactly will we do it? Well, we'll use Agile to become more agile, as we've said. So first we need the features that we might deliver as part of our Agile approach. So to do that, we might hold a workshop explaining these Agile practices and frameworks. So these will become our features because these will be the things that we'll deliver incrementally to the teams and help them become more agile that way. So you might have that leadership team or these people go through an introduction to Agile similar to this one so that they understand all of the the core practices and all of the Agile and Lean frameworks that they might be able to implement as part of moving towards an Agile approach. So, or you could deliver that yourself, for example, once you have this knowledge. Now, let's say those features or the things that we want to move towards in an Agile approach might be things like Kanban, or iterations and iteration planning, or using retrospectives for the teams, or using daily stand-ups, burn down charts, using the whole team approach. And in our example, let's say at the end of all of that, our product owner, so the executive that we're working with, says, look, there are about 10 of these Agile practices that we want to implement and move ahead with. So they become our features. So we work with our product owner and decide what brings them value. Now this strategic leader is our customer, basically. They're the person who is deciding what brings them value, and they're the person who's going to help us work with the backlog of work and the features that they want delivered. So we decide with them on the first feature to implement, and our executive in this case decides on Kanban, a nice easy approach. We can see the work, a nice visual management approach, very nice way to ease into it. Now the other features that we spoke about go into our product backlog, and they form the basis of our burn down chart that we'll see soon, so that we can track our work as it's going along. Basically, we want to see how we're going until we get all of our things completed, and we want everyone to see how this is going. We want it to be an information radiator. You'll hear the term sometimes in Agile, but so that everyone can see it. Someone walking through that part of the organization sees this and is curious and says, oh, well, what's going on here? So this is what we're looking at, our burn down chart and our features like Kanban. Now it's in progress with our Kanban board, and we might have iterations, retrospectives, stand-ups in the backlog that we will have our teams work towards in the future. And these are the features as they're, let's say as we're going along, they're being marked off and we're completing those with our teams. So everyone sees and everyone is very clear where we're up to and everyone's on the same page. So we're transparent with our information. Now, we pilot the approach, just to make it nice and easy again, with one team for fast feedback. So we plan the iteration for having them move towards Kanban for the first 2 weeks. We don't have developers or testers or business analysts, but we do have this business team that the executive wants us to help them become more agile. And so we break down the Kanban feature with our rolling wave planning, of course. So we've got our feature just before our 2-week iteration. We break it down into smaller tasks. This might be creating the Kanban board. Maybe it's a physical board. Maybe it's a virtual board like Trello or Jira. Maybe then we're assigning the team's work to the board. So maybe someone, Billy from the team, is going to create the board. Maybe Jane from the team is going to decide on the sizing for the different cards, or how many cards people should take on at one time. A few of the different rules around that. How do they want to work with Kanban? And then we implement this with the team over the next two weeks. Now, of course, we want to check in daily with that team to see how they're going. We hold that short daily stand-up with the team that we're implementing with to coach them through any issues and answer questions and track their progress. We want to keep the momentum going over those 2 weeks as they're moving towards this first, baby step of Agile. And they complete the tasks and ultimately they move to a Kanban approach during the iteration. Now, at the end of the 2 weeks, we demonstrate the Kanban approach that this team has moved towards. This is our sprint review, and we do that with our customer. Who's our customer? The executive who wants to move towards Agile. So they're obviously going to be keen to see, is this working? Did it work? Has it impacted my team in a negative way? Is Agile all it's cracked up to be? Now, of course, this is just a tiny fraction. It's a feature that we're implementing, but we showcase that Kanban board and what the team have learned to our product owner, the strategic leader who wanted to move to Agile. Now it looks good, so he's comfortable to add more of those features. So he says, well, maybe we can do sprint planning as well. Maybe we can add the daily stand-ups, and it hasn't strained our team too much. So the next 2 weeks we can add those to our product backlog and our sprint planning, our sprint. And he also agrees to start more teams across the organization on that journey, again beginning with that Kanban approach to ease them into it as well. So now we have a few teams doing this, and we need a more scalable approach. Now we have looked at scalable approaches, haven't we? So we can have our Scrum of Scrums. We're going to have that twice a week with a representative from each of the teams to report on their progress. So we've got our original team of a bunch of people that we've been working with, and now they're on their journey. But now we've got more teams, and we just want one representative from each of those teams across the organization to come to our Scrum of Scrums and report on their progress and how they're going as they're implementing their own Agile approaches. Each team has their own Kanban board, of course, and their own burn down chart, easily visible to see at a glance how they're tracking. So the executive could at any time walk through their area and say, well, okay, they are moving towards an Agile approach. Or if it's virtual, they could easily access the board and see it that way as well. Now at the end of 10 iterations, we've delivered those 10 Agile features, starting with Kanban, going through iterations, daily stand-ups, retrospectives, and all of the other practices that we wanted to, the whole team approach, for example. All of their burn down charts and Kanban boards reflect their progress. So we've seen it go from 10 features down to 0 nice and easily. And now these teams also have taken it on to their own moving forward, which is the whole point of incrementally improving over time with our retrospective. They now hold regular retrospectives to reflect on their own approach, because these business teams will be different. Maybe there's some development teams in there as well and they're happy to use it as is. Maybe a business team needs to modify it slightly for their own purposes. And this means they can now take ownership of their own approach in the future. So they ask, is this working well? What's not working well? How can we improve it? And they feed that back into their own Agile process and continue with it moving forward. They've taken ownership now moving forward. And that is how we might move an organization towards Agile, by using Agile approaches. I hope you've enjoyed it.